well done.
I'll give you a 10-second countdown, guys. So 10, 9,
Go, Harley.
5, 3, 2, 1.
I've got Captain Paul Watson from Sea Shepherd. People that don't know Sea Shepherd, visit the website seashepherd.org, is that correct?
Yeah.
So Paul Watson's, you've committed how many years of your life to saving animals in the ocean?
Well, I've been with Sea Shepherd since I founded it in 1977. Prior to that, I was the youngest co-founder of Greenpeace in 1969, so pretty much over 40 years.
So 40 years, I mean, how do you keep going day after day with all the international pressure against you and all the critics? I mean, how do you do that?
Well, I'm not too concerned about critics. I mean, we go out there and the satisfaction is saving the lives of these whales or seals or fish in the sea, and that's what keeps us going. They're really our clients. I'm not too concerned about what people have to say about what we do, as long as we're here to save lives and protect habitats.
So when it comes to critics, you just fuck them.
Well, people are the problem. So in fact, I think that the more people criticizing you, the better you're. It means you're doing a good job. I mean, nobody criticizes anybody for doing nothing.
That's true, it's true. So what advice would you have for people, for activists, young activists up and coming, who are feeling a bit pressured about speaking up? They're scared to speak up. What do you recommend they do?
I think they've got to follow their heart and be passionate about what they're doing and not care what other people think.
Yep.
Don't you never give in to peer pressure or any criticisms from anybody. If you feel you're doing the right thing, then you're doing the right thing.
Yep.
One time, a fellow colleague from Greenpeace criticized us after we sank half the licensed whaling fleet, and he said what you did there was unforgivable, despicable, and criminal, and blah blah blah. And I said, yeah, well, so what? And he said, well, people don't approve of what you did. And I said, I didn't do it for people. We did it for the whales. You find me a whale that disagreed with what we did, and we won't do it again.
Yeah, good point.
Third, final time, 4,500. We are selling. Sold. Very much. To both our bidders, thank you. Thank you very much. Japan needs Australia more than Australia needs Japan, because they need the resources and you could sell it to somebody else. So the problem is there's just too much bribery and corruption going on with politicians to get what they want. New Zealand totally sold out. The New Zealand government does whatever Japan tells them to do, completely in contradiction to the will of the New Zealand people. So that's the problem. When other people say to me, we've got to reach the Japanese, we've got to educate the Japanese, that's the only way we're going to end whaling. No. If the majority of the Japanese people are against whaling, that's not going to end whaling. I'm Canadian. The majority of Canadians are against the Canadian seal hunt. Doesn't stop it. Because vested interests control the government. We don't control the government. So it doesn't matter if the majority are against it or not. But individuals can make a difference. Because of Diane Fossey, we have mountain gorillas in Rwanda. And we have all these heroes like Jane Goodall and Baruti Geldikas and her work with orangutans. Heroes all over the world, individuals who are making a difference. Steve Irwin, why we named our ship the Steve Irwin, is he reached children all over the world with a message. A lot of people disagreed with the way he did it, but I said, hey, who cares what you think? You're an adult. The kids like it, and if they're listening to it, then the message is getting through. He knew how to talk to his constituents, and his constituents are the people who are really going to make a difference in this world, the young people of this world. And so this is what we're trying to do, is to get this idea across that how we're going to change the world is not through governments or large organizations, but through people. And each and every one of us has the power to do that. A couple of years ago, a few years ago, I got a call from a man in Glasgow in Scotland. And he called me, he said, what are you going to do? They're killing gray seals over here on the Orkney Islands. What are you going to do about it? And I said, let me see, I'm on the west coast of North America. You're in Scotland. What are you going to do about it? And he said, well, I'm just a draftsman here in Glasgow. And I said, well, so what are you going to do about it? So anyway, we got together with him, and he set up a Sea Shepherd group, got some volunteers, none of whom were professional anything, landed on the island, very enthusiastic. They walked up to the sealers, grabbed the rifles out of their hands, and threw the rifles into the ocean. And then they prevented the boats from landing. But it got so much controversy, so much attention, that we were able to raise enough money in Scotland to buy that island, and it's now a seal sanctuary. that all resulted from just one man saying, well, what can I do? The fact is, each and every one of us can change the world. And we just have to understand that we have the power to do that. And what we have here in Australia is an incredible majority of people who are opposed to this whaling, and also opposing to the killing of dolphins and a lot of other environmental issues. I can't tell you how much more gratifying that is than it was 20 or 30 years ago. The awareness today of what's going on is far, far better than it was 30 years ago. You know, back 30 years ago, we put up a billboard in Vancouver, British Columbia, and the billboard said, ecology, look it up and get involved. Nobody even knew what the word meant. So look how far we've come on that. 30 years ago, if you said you were a vegan, they would say, what are you, from the planet Vega? What is a vegan? You know? In fact, I had one guy one time, he said, well, I'm in the water vegan, I don't know. But the thing is that people are changed. I mean, things become more acceptable, and they become acceptable because people get involved and make the impossible possible. So we're going to go down there this year with 80 crew members from 16 different countries on 3 different vessels plus our helicopter. This year we intend to get down there as quickly as we can to put ourselves on the sternway of the Nishan Maru as fast as we possibly can. And once we're glued to that sternway, they will not kill any whales. Now we expect that they'll be more aggressive this year than they have in the past. They got away with destroying one of our ships last year, cut it in half and sunk it. And you know, the captain on that Japanese vessel hasn't answered to anybody since then. I don't know of any other incident in maritime history where a captain has rammed another ship and destroyed it, even accidentally, and has not been questioned by anybody. The Australian and New Zealand Maritime Authority said, well, we can't do anything because Japan refuses to cooperate. Okay, so that's it? Well, why don't you go down there when they show up this year and arrest the bastards, you know? The problem, you know, that's like saying, well, we can't arrest the bank robber. We caught him on video, but he won't cooperate with the investigation. You know, so I can tell you right now, if I had rammed and cut one of their boats in half, the Australian Navy would have been down there to arrest me. So there's definitely a double standard going on here. And it's a very difficult situation. We have to go down there and save whales, making sure we don't hurt them, but they're trying to kill us. So, and any time we do anything, we're being condemned by our governments to saying, you know, well, you've got to be non-violent. And when the Japanese are being violent, well, you shouldn't be interfering with their livelihood. So, you know, it's a very difficult situation. But I am confident that this year, that if we can get down there quickly, we will be able to get an 80 to 100% success rate on that and save as many whales as we can. And if we can do that, if we can achieve 80%, they will lose so much money and, more importantly, so much face that it's going to be very, very humiliating for them when they return to Japan. And you know what I think? What's funny is every year is people say, "Well, you know, what did you accomplish?" I said, we don't have to say anything. Just wait till the Japanese fleet comes back. And when the Japanese fleet came back into Tokyo this year, they said, we could have gotten our quota, except that Sea Shepherd prevented it. They kept us from taking 528 whales. Great, we got a number. You know, Japan just gave us the number that we were able to save. But they're trying to portray themselves as the victims here. You know, like, you know, we can't do our job because of that. So anyway, thank you very much on this, and anything you can contribute would certainly help a great deal. I mean, our fuel bills are amazing. Last year it was $1.7 million on that. I mean, and in fact, there's some gentlemen approached me tonight with an idea to help us save fuel, and that's going to help right there, and that's going to help us if we can get that there, because that is our most expensive thing is fuel on that. And the preparation of the vessels is very expensive. Purchasing the vessels are very expensive. We're a Navy. Navies cost money. Oh, somebody once described owning a sailboat, as standing under a cold shower, dropping $100 bills down the drain continuously. And you can imagine what it is when you have 3 ships. It's extremely expensive. And I can say that we wouldn't be able to do this without 3 things. The first is the incredible dedication and courage of the volunteers that we have on our ship. The second is the support of our contributors around the world. And third, the support of Australia. We couldn't do it unless we had the ports of Australia supportive of what we're doing. Thanks to Hobart and to Melbourne and to Fremantle and to Brisbane, where our ships have been, and to Sydney and Newcastle, we have been able to mount these campaigns every year. We couldn't do it otherwise. So thank you very much, and we appreciate anything you can give us tonight.
Thanks, Paul. So on that note,